Hi class, this is week 3, chapter 3 from Entrepreneur class. Without further ado, we're gonna just start with the chapter 3. Let me share the screen with you. Wonderful. And here we go. In the chapter 3, today we will be talking about the entrepreneurial perspectives. Generating and exploiting new entries. This is the chapter's all about. So in this chapter, what will happen, a new entry is one of the essential acts of entrepreneurship. And as we said, a newness can be both a good or bad. So it has the two optionals in it. So entrepreneurial strategy maximize the benefit of newness and minimize its costs. And the elements include the generation of a new opportunity, the exploitation of a new entry opportunity, and the feedback loop. Today we will be talking about mostly about the generation of a new entry opportunity and the exploitation of a new entry opportunity. But keep in mind, the feedback loop is very important to do that. So if the new entry is exploited, performance depend on entry strategy, the risk reduction strategy, the way the firm is organized, and the competence and the entrepreneur and management team. We will talk about these in a more detailed base, each one of them. So, as we said, if the new entry exploited, then there is all these for the new the entry strategy, how you enter the market, the risk reduction strategy, the new way of the firm is organized, and the competence of the entrepreneur and the management team. Now, generation of a new entry opportunity, the resource or the building blocks. Combine the resource in various ways to achieve the superior performance. So you have multiple resources like, the manpower, the people who knows the market, the product that you have, the add-on that you have. You can combine all these together in order to have a superior performance. In the valuable, if it allows the firm to pursue the opportunity, neutralize the threat, and offer a product and service valued by the customer. So when you see this newness interesting is if you can naturalize the threats, competition, and all these, and you can pursue this opportunity and offer something new or not new, doesn't matter, customized product and service that the most important that the customer value it. Rare when a few or no competitors have it. So these days, you will find anywhere you go, they have everything and there is a competitor. So your goal is really to customize it a little bit, adjust it a little bit, whether it's a product or a service, where the customer sees a value in it. And imitable when replicating the bundle is difficult and or costly. So when you're providing a service or a product, you want to make sure you bundle it in a way that is difficult, the competition can compete with you on it. So the basis for entrepreneurial resources is the knowledge built up over the time through the experience, and therefore rare. I will give you a good example to understand what I mean here. The the entrepreneur market knowledge is deeper than knowledge gained through market research. That's one point. The second thing, entrepreneurs who lack this knowledge are less likely to recognize, create attractiveness for a new product or a new market. As an example, if you don't understand the market, I mean, see, the first time I went to Iraq, I went there on behalf of a company called Ch3.com. It's located in Dubai. So we went there, and believe it, we did the e-commerce in, I think it was 2006, 2006 or 2005. And we failed miserably there. And the reason, because we didn't have that much knowledge about the market or the technology there. But then when I went back and I got an offer by the ITS to go in, second time, 2 years down the road, there where I had enough knowledge, experience about the market, where I was very successful because it came a combination of my education, my experience, and a knowledge of that market. So through these three things, I was able to set up the business in a way where, you know, we were in a safe zone doing a business for a few years and nobody is competing with us, and we were maximizing our profit, and we were doing fine. And that's driven not only from doing a marketing research, because first time we did a market research and we found out that the market, there is a demand for this market, or there is a possibility of doing such a business. But when we went there, because we don't have the knowledge, we end up, and the experience, we end up failing in it. But the second time, we also done the marketing research, and we know there is a market for us, but this time it came with a combination of knowledge, an extra knowledge or experience of the market, which has made the venture very successful. So when you have a different resources or a resource bundle is the basis for a new entry created from the entrepreneur's market and the technological knowledge and the other resources. So I had a combination of resources like my experience in the market, my education and knowledge, technology knowledge that I had, and other resources, which is I had teams and companies are willing to support me to do this entrepreneurship, starting the business in this country. So assessing the attractiveness of a new opportunity, new entry opportunity, is through the following considerations help the entrepreneur determine if the product is valuable, rare, inimitable, and worth pursuing. Information on a new entry. That's help you to estimate whether the product is acceptable by the customers. The windows of opportunity that might be open now, but maybe be shut later on. For example, we had an understanding for the telco companies that if we establish a business there, or we will be a representative there, we're going to get the business for these two telco companies potentially. So this is one of the reasons I went there. But in the same time, I was also working on the higher education, trying to establish the business of higher education also in Iraq. So the windows of opportunity, if we didn't take it, we could have, lost the opportunity to win that deal. And the comfort zone in the decision under uncertainty. So there was too much uncertainty And we had to make a choice between the error of commission or the error of omission, and we decided to do the error of commission, which is let's go and try and see if we can win. So we didn't take so much resources. It was me and my assistant went there and started working on it. And if we left it, well, probably somebody from other country would have came in and took over that. So we didn't want to do an error of omission. We wanted to do an error of commission. If we made a mistake with not investing that much. So when you do business in the market, you try to see the both. Should I go for it? And if I go for it, and I lose, what I'm going to lose. And when I go for it, I'm not going for it, what I'm losing. So the loss of opportunity, the opportunity that you're not gaining, some people, especially the entrepreneurs, see it as a loss. They don't see people non-entrepreneur, if they don't pursue a business, they don't see it as a loss. Entrepreneurs usually, if they don't pursue this business, they see it as a loss. The assessment of uh, the assessment, I'm sorry. Um, the assessment of a new entry attractiveness is less about the opportunity exists and more about the entrepreneur believing that they can make it work with entrepreneurial strategies. It is your, as an entrepreneur, if you believe that you can make it with a certain strategy, when you walk into certain market, a new market, or bring a new product, or a new market in a new product, and you know that there is a certain strategy, you can work it out where it's going to be successful, then it would be wise. This is how you are interested in entering the market. So the assessment of a new entry's attractiveness is less about the opportunity exists. It's more about the entrepreneur believing he can do that work. And then we said with chapter one, uh, lots of people see there is opportunities. The second part, you need to see this opportunity. Is it for you or for somebody else? If it's for you, then you probably, the third part is you need to pursue it. So why you want to be the first mover entry strategy? It's the most interesting part of this. It is very satisfactory in it, but let's summarize it, is the fact that first movers develop the cost advantage. Because you're a first mover, usually you have a less cost because in a way you can price it as much as you want, and also you don't have sometimes that cost advantage. You have the cost advantage for it. First mover face less competitive rivalry. As I said, we went there and we were the first people to do this business of telecommunication in Iraq and higher education. So we didn't have the competition. So we were having invited by oil companies, by big universities, by telco, just to talk to the top management to explain to them our solution and how can it help them. The first mover can secure important suppliers and channel of distribution. There is lots of suppliers are willing to go in that time in Iraq, but they were afraid, they were not sure. So when they saw this company is walking there, driving there, everybody were interested to provide you, supply you and provide the channels of distribution. Not only that, you utilize that for other businesses also, because you're doing it some favor in a way. They look at it that you're doing him a favor. doing this the company, the supplier, a favor to take them there. So you can also strike some favors in other countries or in other products and all these things. So there is lots of positive things also that other might not see it. First mover are a better position to satisfy the customer because you already the customer is, they have not established the standard. And the customer, how they would be, establishing the standard mostly through comparison with others, other products that it's competitive with you. So when you are the first mover, there is no competition with you. So it's easy to just satisfy the customer, and customer usually appreciate your approach to them to provide them the solution where you can get loyalties from them. And with the first mover, gain expertise through participation. So we went there, I found out, we failed, we came back, and then I joined another company who is interested to go there, but this time I knew what I'm supposed to do. And I gained the expertise. But keep in mind, as I said, the first mover do not always prosperous. As I did in the first deal, we didn't get any far with it, and we didn't do well in it. But then the second one, we did well. So you want to make sure that not when you are a first mover, you do have a positive feeling about it, and you do have some at least qualities plus some studies, informational background. And as we said, the first mover advantage must outweigh the disadvantage. And it's all depend on how the environment is stable. And sometimes instability can do better, but mostly we work on a stable environment. And the second thing, you are able to educate the customers. If the customers, I had some customers, which is 2 universities, one of them, they just blocked me out. They didn't want to educate themselves, and they supposed to be University of Science and Technology. On the other hand, I had other university who's been, most of these students, most of these leaders of that university, they were studying outside or working outside. So it was easy for them, easy for me to educate them on. So the customers needs to be ability to educate them because it's a new product or a new service that you are offering them. And keep in mind, while you're doing that, you want to make sure that you erect or increase the barriers to entry and imitation to extend the firm's lead time. So you want to make sure when you're walking in with your product, there is a barriers of entries for the others to come in, so you have enough time to keep staying ahead of them, and hard for them to imitate you. I'll give you a good example. It comes with the knowledge and experience, and this is why I said you gain your knowledge here, and you go 3-4 years working in a company, you gain your experience, and a combination of these two can help you so much. Because I work so much with the higher education, I know right away what university it needs and what kind of setup solution that they need. And there could be up to 20 different kind of software that's integrated to each other. But then I know right away there is two main pillar software in education. One that's called content management system, and one's called student information system, or the administration itself. And any other application, doesn't matter what kind of application, they have to be integrated to these two or to one of them. And came from the experience that I had. So what we did is we went and had these two applications set up because of the experience that I had and the knowledge. Once we set up this, we became the gateway for any other application who's interested to come in, because they have to be integrated to our solution. If you're a financial, you need to integrate it to our SIS. If you are a e-learning solution, you need to integrate it with the CMS and SIS. So we closed the gate, because if you didn't have these two applications running and you had one, the other person can come up with another one and integrate all the solution through that one. But if we had these two running same time and we own them, so nobody can integrate. See, this whole thing comes in with the experience through the work with other companies. This is why I said after the graduation and again in this basic knowledge, you need to look at working with the companies that they are very advanced in the field that you want to work in it, so that you gain experience, you understand what. So when they came, somebody like Microsoft or SAP trying to push their application on the universities, they said, okay, go and talk to Faisal and his team, because we already have the SIS and CMS, so you need to integrate to them. And they came, and then here where you also can gain, make more money, they can take you somewhere, other account, and you kind of put them in a field there's no way but to cooperate with you. So next stage, environmental instability, first mover advantage or disadvantage. As we said in the beginning of this chapter, it could be instability as an advantage, or could be a disadvantage. So the performance depends on the fit between the firm's bundle of resources and the external environment. So if you have the bundle for a good fit, first determine the key success factor. The environmental change are likely in emerging industries. So the good success factor you have to determine. You need people who is local, can meet the decision maker and set you up with this meeting in the beginning or get to know you about you. The second thing, probably you need the product that is really good fit and determine the success for you. And the product that can make sure that create a barriers so the competition cannot come in. So these are the things. If it's environment instabilities, in the environment instabilities, also you can make more profit, by the way, than if it's a stable. So the entrepreneur faces demand and technological uncertainty. The whole idea when I walked in there, we needed things, we needed to know about things, we got things ready, which is I didn't know first time. Like a power generator, the first thing I did about a power generator to make sure all the offices is running fine. We got a very fast internet, well connected to our offices. These are all technological things that I needed to set up. And because if I walked in first time, I wasn't uncertain about it. So I would have gone and said, oh, there's no electricity. How are we going to find electricity? All these things. Oh, there is, I don't know. I need a driver. I need a car. So these are small things that the technological uncertainties might slow you down or kill your business. So you wanted to make sure that you're aware of these. So the demand uncertainty makes it difficult to estimate the future demand. The other thing, you come in and maybe something outside happened. The last case that we worked on it is we're about to sign a contract and suddenly the country became unstable because of the oil situation or because of the war situation. So these things, it might kill the demand for having a better education and advance on it. So demand uncertainty makes it difficult to estimate the future demand, really. First mover must often commit to a new and proven technology, resulting in the technological uncertainty. If you're going to a place that there is a technological uncertainty, you have to have this feeling that you committed to it. And it's sweet that you are the first person who wants to try and trying, and you're not afraid of failing. So you need to be committed to it. Uh, but when demand is unstable or the technology uncertainty is high, first mover disadvantage may outweigh the first mover advantage. So if you don't have enough knowledge about the market, experience, not knowledge, experience, because the knowledge you built it in a private university and working with the companies. But if you're going with a new product you know, you might run to uncertainty, and there is some solution to manage this disadvantage. How would you manage this disadvantage? Is there is option that you have now, and we will be talking about it. The customer uncertainty and the first mover disadvantage. The element of a newness, we said, may mean uncertainty of customers, for customers. So the customers are not sure about it. There is ways of making the customers aware of it. First, as we said, is education. Second, references. They may be uncertain about how to use a product or what's the benefit. So what we did, we faced some university who they never used this application before, these applications before. And in case of telecommunication, these people already traveling from, they're working outside and they know about the billing system and the tabs that the application has. But in university, they didn't know about the solution that I'm offering. So I educated them. I showed them how the solution can help them, but that wasn't enough. So I took them out and they sat with other universities who has implemented these applications. And they told them, they educated them how better they became by utilizing these applications. It's not within the country, they were outside, but they were glad to talk to each other just to understand how they've been improved through my product, our product, and through our services. So to reduce this uncertainty, entrepreneurs can offer informational advertising or use a comparison marketing also. But the third one is references. When the product is highly innovative, the customer may lack of a frame of references for processing product information. And here, where your first goal is really to establish a references, because a reference, a positive reference, can help you to close lots of deals and to shorten your making your business easier. A good references, a positive references. And it's okay if you break even or invest into the first reference, time, effort, or even some money. But as long as you establish your first reference, then it's easy for you to move on with others to do business with them. By delaying entry in a market requiring considerable education, the firm might benefit from the investment of the first movers. So let's say there is uncertainties, education, people don't know the product you're offering. So you might wait not to be the first mover and have somebody to go first. This is a very risky, but is it's also on other side is we put you in a safe because you just watched the first mover and try to move after the first mover without lots of time or before they create the barriers or others start moving in. So you keep an eye on the first mover and see when's the best time to move in. But on other hand, first mover can have the advantage when education directs the customer's preference. Because here where talk about your product and educate them, they will have two things. First, they feel that you are there for them, and this is what they feel loyal to you. And the second thing, you educate them on that base. You, in a way, brainwash them, but you're not brainwash them, but you set up their standards so that anybody else comes in, the first thing they're gonna ask, they will probably information that you're gonna give to them, they will cross check it with them. And believe me, this will makes it more toward you positive. They might come back to you even with seeing the competitor and come back to you and says, well, the competition came to me and told me this is, what do you think about it? Because you already established this trust between, and you became as a consultant, not as somebody who is selling and throwing products and running away. So first mover can have an advantage when education directs customer preference to the firm product, when the firm is seen as a founder, and when the firm can erect barriers, entries, and limitation. So we, I was educating them. And then when they went and saw other universities, the others told him, well, his nickname is King of Education. So they were seeing me as a founder in that area for education. And as actually, I was the first people who walks in there. So I'm the founder for that concept. And when the firm can, and then I created the barrier, technological barrier, which is putting SIS and CMS. So it was hard to enter for others, and it's hard to imitate. Now, furthermore, entry barriers provide a grace period of limited competition. So we know the competition will walk in, and we know the competition is much richer, bigger, and stronger, all these things with us. But we created enough barriers where we had enough time to establish our name and our business and our product. So this lead time, the first mover prepared for the future competition. So the other one, they came in, they had to compete with us. We didn't have to compete with them. And our competition with them was less compared what they are. So they had to offer way more than we did in order to gain a business. The first mover can also extend the lead time by using barrier to interest, like you building a customer loyalties, because you are teaching them, you educate them, and when you educate them, they will probably gain the power of the knowledge, and this power of knowledge will promote them, will put them in a very symbolic situation. And there is a term, we always use it, we look, it's called look for the champion. And the champions within the organization are the ones who is hungry for knowledge and wants to implement your deal because they want to be champion with their organization. The second thing is building a switching cost. So you have to give an option of cost if it's necessary. So if the competition comes and compete with you over the prices, you have options where you give a switching cost in it. Protecting your product uniqueness, and the uniqueness, when you have the experience in the knowledge, you know how to make your product experience. In the field of IT, for example, you can do a localization, customization, Arabization, extra extension for certain businesses there. These are all makes it unique for you. Let me give you a good example. In the old days, you might don't know Oracle, or if you know Oracle, they used to come and knock the door on us, just saying, please implement a full suite of ERP for Oracle. And we didn't. And the reason, because we know if we implemented a full Oracle, the competition can walk into our businesses. And we had a very lucrative businesses with the oil companies. So what we did, we brought two different databases, and we brought an Oracle Financial and IBM HR integrated together. Database, we brought an Oracle RDBMS and IBM, which is DB2, and integrated them. And all this headache, just to give an extension that we have customized it for the oil companies that Oracle ERP cannot provide it. So we secure success to important sources of supply and distribution, but in the same time, we protected our product uniqueness. So whenever Oracle or SAP walked in direct and says, we are Oracle, we are SAP, listen to us, they tell them, well, can you do this for us? They would say, no, we're in the process of developing such thing. They say, then okay, see you later, or go talk to ITS and let ITS tell us whether it's okay or not. So this is where when you do your product, you need to protect your product or your service uniqueness, which is the niche that the other don't have it. The barrier to entry reduced the competition. So I guess we didn't have anybody compete with us because we were the first people who went to the customer, and we know exactly what they are not finding in the services that others are offering, and we went and invested in that, and we gave them, and then we generated way more than we other expected that, and we were the focus in these oil companies in UAE and making tons of money, and the suppliers such as IBM and Oracle and Microsoft were knocking on our doors because we hold the winning card. And I did the same strategy from there because I worked there. When I went to Iraq, I did the same strategy that I learned it and gained that experience in working with these oil companies. Now, barrier to entry reduce the competition, as we said. If there is insufficient customer demand, consider allowing the competitor into the industry to share the pioneering costs. Now, you might have your partners, or the competition walks in and pour in the knowledge, the information, let them come in and start presenting and increasing the industry knowledge so they can share the cost. And for you instead of sharing the startup cost, they will share this, the marketing, the advertising, the information of the consultant with them. And then you keep in mind what's your uniqueness, you come up with your uniqueness later on. In the same field, in the risk reduction strategies for a new entry exploitation, and a new entry always involved in some considerable risk. There is a risk definitely when you start a business, but it needs a brave person with a strong heart and strong belief to take the calculated risk. I'm not saying take risk, you take a calculated risk. So the choice of the market scope range from narrow to a broad scope strategy depending on the risk of targeted for reduction. Let's assume you have a big market, and this market like Canada, and you have a new product or service, you want to import it and you want to export it here. You don't want to, it's one of the options. First, you can go all over Canada. And the second option is to focus, for example, only Ontario. And it's depend on your strategy and how you minimize your risk. If the chance of striking a business is very slim, is preferably you need to focus in one area first and then you go broad. And if there is a chance of you don't know where is the first business, is it going to be strike in Manitoba or BC or Ontario, then you probably need to go abroad. This is how you establish how you're supposed to take the risk. So in the case of a narrow scope strategy, offers a small product range to a small number of customers. So you know these people will be buying, will be utilizing. You offer them and you focus on them. Vulnerability to the risk the market demand does not materialize or change over time. A broad scope strategy takes a portfolio approach and offers a range of products. Here, sometimes you have a multiple products that you are targeting Ontario. And once you have one product, you're targeting the whole country. And the both are a broad scope strategy. If the entry involves in creation of a new market, a broad scope strategy reduces the major risk of uncertainty over customer preferences. What does that mean? Means that you can give him, if you have a red apple, a green apple, yellow apple, the person wants an apple, you have all the options. That's one thing. So that's a broad strategy. And if you have only a red apple, don't keep it for one person, just show it. Show it to everybody. So one people comes in, some people comes in and take this apple. So this is the broad strategy that you need to build to minimize the major risk of uncertainty, because you don't know who is going to take this red apple that you have, or you don't know the person who's coming to buy from you, what kind of apple he likes. So these, you keep the two options in your mind. And as we say, you need to knock 10 doors to have one door open. If you knock 9, you might not be able to have that because maybe the door number 10. So if you want to have one door open, you need to knock 10 doors. If you want to have 10 doors open, you need to knock 100 doors. It's matter of numbers also when it comes the deals, but also it comes with the gut feeling that you have. If you don't have that concept of coming with a new product, there is something called the imitation strategy. And, Bollywood does that a lot. When we're traveling overseas, we see lots of imitation is happening, and lots of countries trying to imitate whatever the advanced country, like in Canada or States, they imitate that. And one of the biggest business of USA is other countries in some field they're trying to imitate them. So imitation strategy is another strategy to minimize the risk. In other words, imitation is easier than conducting a systematic and expensive search. I'm walking to a city where I see lots of McDonald's there. So I can make a restaurant look like McDonald's and start selling burgers there because I know people will buy that. That's one of the imitation. Imitation successful practice helps the entrepreneur to develop a skills necessary for the industry success. So if you build something like McDonald's and you start in India or in China or anywhere else and try to imitate them, you're going to gain the experience, and this experience will develop more success in your life. Imitation provide also organization legitimities. If we have one restaurant who makes burgers, but they don't look like McDonald's, and we have a restaurant that makes burger but looks like McDonald's, you think the customer thinks the restaurant who looks like McDonald's is more legitimate or more gives you more legitimacy. So, for example, when I was in Erbil, north of Iraq, they were in the beginning they didn't give them. It's a very safe zone and a good business center, but Second Cup did not give them license to operate. So the person imitated something looked like Second Cup. And the funny thing, there was another restaurant, another coffee shop, which looks like a Starbucks, also imitated because they didn't get the license, so they went and imitated. And the funny thing, even the cups, even I was confused when I walked in there, who've been living here. I wasn't sure if this is a Second Cup or not, but then I tasted the coffee. I could tell the differences, but the regular people comes in and they think it's a Second Cup. And also when they go to Starbucks, it's oh, okay, that's a Starbucks. And a good part of it, this person opened, it was very busy, opened Second Cup lookalike just beside the Pizza Hut. And the Pizza Hut, it was a legitimate one, a normal, a full license Pizza Hut. So you're looking at the Pizza Hut and a full license, and you know this is an international license franchise, not thinking that that Second Cup is not licensed. So it gives you more feeling of imitation and imitation legitimacy. Imitation strategies include franchising and Me Too strategy. In the Me Too strategy, variation may be minor product changes, just like what I said about the Second Cup in Arbil, or it could be the next door guy, which is this Pizza Hut, the real Pizza Hut, which is they were doing it. And entering a new market is like in the Me Too strategy, variation may be minor product changes, entering a new market, or delivering the product in a different way. There is something where they cannot shut you down for patent or copyright or the competition. So they cannot do that. An imitation strategy may reduce the research and development costs, R&D costs, because you're just copycatting a coffee place. You probably bring some waiter and some person who works in the back in the restaurant, give him more money, and he comes in and makes exactly the same coffee. That reduces the customer uncertainty sometimes also, and provide immediately, because when you're drinking that Second Cup coffee and you go there and you drink some very slight changes that nobody can notice except people who always goes for the Second Cup, they can find the differences there. So managing a newness, a creation of organization offer some liabilities of a newness. Sometimes we said a new product or a new market or a new product in a new market or a new organization. That's another way of a newness. And in the new organization is liabilities comes from learning a new task, which is, curve of learning of curve is expensive and takes time. The second thing, the role of responsibility may overlap or have some gap. So there are also going to be inefficiencies going on there. And the informal structure takes time to establish. Now, I don't know why the vaccine suddenly goes away. Something got to do with Zoom, but it's okay. You saw me, I was there. The entrepreneur can benefit from assets of a newness. Established routine can be liabilities when the firm faces the changes. So if you have certain routines that you need to do, it can be liable for you, especially in the new market or new places that you need to work on it or new conditions. And the previous practice might create also momentum redirection is difficult. So you've been doing the work this way, and when you move into a new market or you establish a new company, you take this some habit, which is it's not necessary with this newness, and it's difficult to have these people adjust to it, and it's liability. So a heightened ability to learn the new knowledge is a source of competitive advantage. An entrepreneur always curious about learning, and they want to learn, gain experience. And this is where your competitive advantage. The new venture have a strategy. The new venture have a strategic advantage over the mature company, particularly when when you are in a dynamic environment. Because dynamic environment means you come with a new venture, newness, and you shape it up easily than if you have an old company who can, they are not easy to adjust. As they say, you cannot teach an old dog a new trick. So old companies usually, it's very difficult to teach them a new tricks. Now, so this is the end of the chapter 3, and we will be, next class, we'll be talking about chapter 4. Thank you, and we'll continue.